Hello, my name is Bill Haley, and this is for Haley2024 The Movement's Government Reform Ideas. This one's going to be on the structure of the pockets of freedom. What is the pockets of freedom? So it's a government reform for my foreign policy and for immigration policy. So, the purpose of the pockets of freedom is to give any citizen of the world a place to escape tyranny and oppression. So, the basic notion is I want to create locations around the world, Middle East, South America, Central America, Europe, maybe parts of Asia, definitely Africa, different places around the world. Let's go over it before I get ahead of myself because I have a lot of slides here. The second purpose of the Pockets of Freedom is to incentivize other countries to improve their citizens' lives or see a large exodus from their country. People are going to leave their country if they have a better option. Right now, all the land is taken up by different countries. You have to be allowed into other countries. Sometimes people don't have as much freedom to leave and go somewhere that will be willing to accept them. They have to stay where they are oppressed right now. We want to give people a chance to escape their tyranny, escape oppression, and be in an area they can live with relative liberty. The third purpose of the Pockets of Freedom is to improve America's immigration system. We'll go over that. I'll have enough slides to go over that and what that means. We want to legitimately acquire dozens and even hundreds of roughly 100 square miles, lots of land around the world. And I think we could even do this on the open ocean. Floating cities, if you will. There's a lot to get into on that. I have a lot of ideas on that, but this is not necessarily that idea, but that's one of the ideas. But you have about 1,000 square miles, and really that's only, 40 or 50 miles by 40 or 50 miles. Now that's even a little bit more than 1,000. But we're not having to talk about huge areas. So we negotiate, we buy, we trade, we legitimately, and we want to get this in the, let's go back here. We do this all around the world. And we legitimately take this land. And we want to get this land as the most unpopulated as we possibly can. We don't want to pick high population areas. It's very sparsely populated or non-populated. So I think we have slides on that in a minute. We're going to protect that land with U.S. military. And that way, they're not, nobody's willing to go in there and attack. No other foreign country is going to attack what the U.S. military is protecting because we have the biggest military. There's a 5% GDP tax from the Pockets of Freedom. So we're not talking about America's GDP. We're talking about all the economic activity within the Pockets of Freedom of that piece of land. All the people with all the economic activity. They need to give 5% of their tax, of their GDP as a tax to America's military for protection. Now we're going to be hiring those people to be in the U.S. military in special units to protect their pocket, to protect their piece of land, where we'll keep them segregated to some degree to protect their land and train them up. Make sure they are well vetted, make sure they're very patriotic to their land. Let's keep on going. We're going to hire governors and other government leaders from America and maybe even other countries, friendly countries over in Europe and other friendly countries that have a good track record with governing. Some first world nations, what I'm talking about. We're going to set up a constitution and a rule of law for that land. They're not going to automatically become U.S. citizens. They'll be under U.S. Military protection, but we're going to set them up as their own land, their own people. A lot to get into on that and exactly how we set it up, and it can be done in a little bit different ways. But the Constitution and the rule of law, hopefully we're going to go with the CRA structure. Many aspects of the Pockets of Freedom will start out with the Haley2024 CRA structure. Hopefully you've already looked at videos and on my website, but if you don't know about it, I'm going to go through it real quick. We split up all government power into 30 sectors, the federal level, state level, and local level. So we have 5 in the charity system because we do not want government doing the welfare. 5 on the foreign protection system. Now on the Pockets of Freedom, that's going to be for the military. The U.S. military. So that's going to be a little bit different. They're not going to have these 5 necessarily. They might have a little bit of voting rights to handle their segregated groups and their military corporations that they have, that they're going to pay for their 5% on. We can put that to the side right now, but that's not the big important part. We want to start giving them a little bit of control, but not much over the military because they're under military, U.S. military protection. Not under their thumb, but under their protection to have liberty. 5 in the violent crime mitigation system. You need to know the CRA structure. Then I have 15 others that really divide government power so every politician can have their one section of law, one section of government authority, and concentrate on that. And the people voting for the leaders can concentrate how they want their leader in that one section of government to control things. So let's keep on going. You see it on the screen a little bit better on this screen, and you see the 15 other ones outside what I talked about. And let's keep on going. I'm going through the CRA structure a little bit quickly because I have a full video on that. There's a lot you can see on my website. I really want to get it on to the Pockets of Freedom. So we want to open these pockets once we secure them. There's not going to be it's going to be sparsely populated or non-populated. We want to open these lands up to immigration. Set up a strong banishment laws to reduce subversive actors. We don't want people coming in there and oppressing the people. We don't want people to immigrate in there that are bad people. So we're going to set up strong banishment laws where we can throw people out quickly that are causing problems. To get it to immigrate here, you have to sign pieces of paper saying that you're not going to do certain things that's going to undermine a good rule of law and liberty. So if you violate those things, we can banish you. We can get you out of the Pockets of Freedom. There's a lot to get into on that, and how strong that is or how weak that is. It depends on the pockets. It depends on the population that moves there. If you have a major Muslim population versus a major Catholic population versus a major Buddhist population or whatever, you're going to have different viewpoints on this. Anyway, every pocket's going to be different. We might have some pockets that are designated as more Muslim, other ones more Catholic, other ones more religious, other religious denominations. Or some that are totally secular. There's a lot we can have. When you have dozens, and really I want hundreds of these, you can have a lot of different ones. Okay, America does not provide for the people. This is not them becoming not submissive, but reliant on our aid. We're not sitting there feeding these people. We're not giving them food and shelter and all the stuff and medical care. They're there and they're going to work. They're going to have a society. They're going to grow their own food. They're going to create their own jobs. They're going to have doctors. They're going to have nurses. They're going to have their own stuff. So when people immigrate there, they're going to bring their own skills. They're going to bring their doctor skills, their nursing skills, their business skills, their farming skills. And then if we don't have a certain specialty, farmers, ranchers, whatever, we'll try to recruit people from America or other countries that really have those skills to come over there and do it. We're going to establish local citizenship. They are non-American citizens. Allow total free trade. So important. And we try to get total free trade with America for sure. And other European countries, a lot of, not just European countries, how about the world? As much as we can, allow free trade. As far as we can. Not fair trade, but total free trade. So fair trade is never free trade. Free trade is fair because it's free. Once you talk about fair trade, you have a lot of things that go unfree, and don't get me started on free trade versus fair trade. But we're going to have free trade. Anybody can do trade. Citizen rights and voting is established over the decades. So once they move there, they don't have voting rights all the way right away. Within the CRA structure, you start having a little bit of voting rights, and they definitely don't have voting rights over the military. They're under the military protection, not under their thumb, not under their oppression, under their liberty. People always have a right to leave, but we need people to understand what citizenship is, take on the responsibility, and know that their vote really means something. Now in the CRA structure, their vote is their membership to a CRA, and they send representatives up and the like. You need to know the CRA structure to really know how that's going to work. Invite corporations to invest in factories and businesses. So important to know that we go to not just America, but Europe, everywhere in the world. I say Europe because it's one of the bigger first world nations. But you go everywhere in the world, and you invite corporations to come over and start building factories here. We're going to have a lot of people that can do labor, a lot of skills. We invite retired folks. What are retired folks? People that have a lot of capital built up in bank accounts, retirement accounts, and they need to be served for the rest of their lives, the last 20 or 30 years of their life. They're 65 years old, they have 10, 15, 20, 30 years left, and they're basically going to be dwindling their retirement funds and need services. That'd be perfect for these areas. These people need to serve people, and that's how they make money. Inviting churches, so important that you get a religious foundation. Now, it doesn't just have to be Protestant, Catholic, it could be Muslim, it could be Jewish, and different ones can have an emphasis on one or the other. There's a lot of ways this can work, and different pockets can have different, some could be a total melting pot, which is probably going to be best, but other ones could be prominently Jewish, other ones could be prominently Protestant, other ones could be prominently Catholic and the like. Third world people, first world government. A lot of times people from the third world, and third world people can sometimes seem derogatory. I'm not meaning it to be. People from third world countries, they come to America and they can thrive a lot more than they ever did in their third world nation of, let's say, Africa or the Middle East. Because they have a structure, they have a community, they have a philosophy of liberty surrounding that community. And that's much more conducive to thriving. So the first world government is capitalism, liberty, free enterprise. Third world people, they come from a government of oppression, dictatorship, warlords, and the like. So we're going to set up, we're going to not have a welfare state. The welfare state, there's a lot of problems with the welfare state. We create the charity system, the Haley2024 charity system. I talked about the five different sectors and how that can work. You really need to understand the charity structure and look at those videos, look at it on the webpage. But how much better that's going to be to get people out of dependence and into a thriving interdependency. Independence. And independence in a free market system is not you on your own. It's interdependence. It's you relying on other people, you serving other people, and other people serving you. Interdependence. And the charity system can help you get there. Foreign policy will stay under America's control. We don't want to go to war for them. I mean, we want to protect them. We'll go to war protecting them. But we don't want to have this group going to war over for somebody else. A note on nation building. This is so much different than nation building that we have had in the past. Because in the nation building we've had in the past that has failed is trying to take an established group, established nation, and build democracy into it. This is taking a almost unpopulated country, have people immigrate there, sign on the dotted line their social contract, saying they're going to be in the charity system, saying that they're going to be in the every one of the sectors, signing up with a CRA, competitive regulatory agency, a competitive governing agency within each sector, saying that they're going to take on the responsibilities to match their liberty. Liberty comes with responsibility. And when you immigrate here, you sign on the dotted line, I will abide by these rules. And over time, they're going to see that liberty and that responsibility go hand in hand. And it can thrive. And we're not letting them just do whatever they want to, where corruption can build up. We have America and the military and American leaders, governors and the like, helping in this manner to make sure things don't go out of control. So tyranny and corruption cannot take hold. That's the problem with nation building around the world, is that we rely too much on the people that were there, where they did not have a culture of liberty, and they had a culture of corruption. So it stays around. But if we have a government where it's structured, where corruption just cannot hold, because of the structure of the CRA structure just does not allow corruption. It really is difficult to have corruption within the CRA structure. A tyrant has no right to controlling people or land. The tyrant of North Korea, they have no right. The leader of North Korea, what is his name? Kim. He has no right to control all the people in North Korea. Tyrants don't have a right to control their people. They don't own them. Slave owners don't own people. Anyway, liberation from a tyrant. People deserve to liberate themselves from tyrants. Tyrants cannot sit there and control people. We're getting off onto a tangent, and that goes down a rabbit hole. I probably should not even put that slide in here. But let's go on. People's right to return and overthrow a tyrant. So if enough people go into these pockets of freedom, and we have a huge population, a huge percentage of a former country, do they have a right to go over and overthrow that tyrant because they have ties back to that country? They have a more legitimate way to, and legitimate claim to go back and liberate their family members, their countrymen, from the tyrant. Establish a land for the banished. So we talked about how we banish people who might be troublemakers, who are undermining people. Now, these people banished can go out to any country they want to, but if they say, no, I want to stay within one of the pockets, I'm really not that bad, let me prove myself and get back into my pockets of freedom, we can establish another land to get people a chance to prove themselves and not become troublemakers, and to get back into maybe being with their other family members. But if they were causing trouble, we have to banish them quickly so that trouble does not fester and really not allow liberty to pop up in that pocket. Let's keep on going. Pockets of freedom in America. Because we have probably an estimated 20 million immigrants, illegal immigrants, not legal immigrants, but illegal. And some people say as many as 30 million. We might have to, I want to ship a lot of these people that are currently in America, who are illegal, to these pockets of freedom where they have freedom, they have liberty, they have a good quality of life. But we might also have to create some in America. There's a lot to get into on that and whether we do that or not. but that's also an option. I have a lot of write-ups on a lot of different subjects dealing with the pockets of freedom on my website. So, until the next video.